All right, everybody, welcome to the first episode of Coaching Corner. And my special guest today here is Mr. Anthony Mosley from Hero Nation and Van Dyke Mortgage. How you doing today, Anthony?
Great, man. Really good. It's good to see you. I love your hat.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. It's glad to see you too because we go way back. You're a big supporter of the Build Your Empire from day one, so I appreciate that, and I love what you're doing. And I wanted to bring you on here for the first episode of Coaching Corner because you're a coach and you know what you're doing.
Appreciate it, man. I
So
appreciate it.
tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Man, I'm the guy people call when, they're looking to strengthen and create a more predictable business in the realm of entrepreneurship so they can help build that legacy for not only themselves and their family, but their clients and their future business partners. And we do that through the Hero Nation, big culture and creed on building people up to provide for themselves, help themselves, and to go on and spread it and help people elsewhere. So I've been in the mortgage industry or the real estate industry for over 21 years, and through my journeys, I've met and been mentored by some of the best knowledgeable people in the industry. The ironic thing is I'm in lending, yet most of my mentors are realtors or real estate agents or real estate moguls. And, they took me on and taught me the ropes. So, my value proposition to my partners as I was growing my business was, I'll help you grow your business. Let's do this together. And we approach it like a team approach. And that's a lot of what we teach today.
Right, and you got the backing of some of the best real estate agents in the country. Filling your head with knowledge that you can leak down to your real estate partners. Right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's
absolutely. I mean, it's sales. We're all solving problems. Just switch out the commodity.
right.
And it all applies to every business. Whether you're a restaurateur, rather you're a tech guy, you're doing a startup,
Yeah,
you're in real
it
estate
doesn't.
or you're in mortgages. It's all the
Right.
same.
And it really don't matter if you're selling copiers. It's all the there. People have a problem and you have the solution. It's just connecting the dots and making it work for them, and seeing that you're the best way to do it.
You're exactly right, man. That's what we are. That's what people in our fields that are failing don't realize is that we're not in sales. We're in the business of solving problems and
Right.
providing a service. And the service is solving the problem.
Right.
So, take the sales out of it and be human and find out what your client needs help with and provide them the answer and the fix.
Exactly. So tell us a little bit, more about Hero Nation. I know that you've been part of that for a long time, and I love Wayne, and Kelly and yourself all, have been part of that for a long time.
So, kind of interesting the way it happened. When I discovered I wanted change after the 2007 collapse, I was very frustrated with the tactics that the industry was using to get business. It was cutting large checks for lead generation. A lot of unauthentic ass kissing, if you will, um, and just doing things that wasn't real. And I've always been this person that is myself. I'm different. I accept the fact that I'm not the typical leader or mortgage guy out there. And I was looking for an answer. So along my travels, I sponsored my company sponsored a Keller Williams Bold class. I still think Bold is one of the most epic coaching classes there is. Yet I think it's pretty much for a certain demographic of agents. And along my travels, I've been through four or five of these bold sessions. I think it's a 7 or 8 week long class, and I came across one day the coach was Wayne Salmons. Now, if you know Wayne, he's a little different himself. Yeah, he's got the funky hair. He's ultimate energy. You wouldn't, he's just a big ball of love, man. Like he gives it, and he doesn't ask for anything in return.
Right.
So I remember I got up and I talked. They had you come up and talk, And I got up there, and instead of selling my company, I just started selling people on themselves and telling them, kind of preaching what they were preaching. And afterwards, Wayne pulled me aside and was like, "You need to be a coach, dude. This is way back when." And the team leaders that were working with Keller Williams at that time were friends of mine. And over consistent conversations, it was like, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. Now, what's difficult in our field is, why would a realtor listen to a mortgage guy?
Right.
I mean, it's kind of a cliche to even say we're on the equals. It's a little different now, but we're on the same level. Like, it's always been perceived for years that the mortgage guy is the one with their hand out, crying at the realtor's front door, begging for business.
Right.
I didn't want that approach, right? And so the transition's been unique. But however, years down the road, I hit another block in my life. And I was like, I'm once again sick of doing what I'm doing over and over again. It's working. I built this team. We went from $2 million in loans a month to, I think we were close to 200 million within a 2-year period. And it was almost, maybe I was bored. So
Right.
then I ran into, I started doing real estate ride along. There's a show I did. And I, if you ever see Real Estate Ride Along, check it out. It's at Real Estate Ride Along. It's on Facebook, but it's soon to be coming live on
Moreflix, buddy.
Moreflix.
We are excited to have it.
Yeah. And so I was on YouTube one day, and I saw this video that Wayne did, and it was called Between Two Eggplants. And I didn't realize he was not with Keller Williams anymore, and he was starting his own coaching thing, and it was about people being themselves. And I'm like, God, that's me, man. So it really resonated. Plus, I loved the guy from the minute I met him. And then he started doing if you go back and look at Hero Nation when it started, they were doing things that no one had the balls to do, as far as getting attention and teaching people on how to grow their business in a manner that wasn't a one-size-fit-all.
Right.
And so I fell in love with that, and I started being in their group coaching. And after a while, it was like, okay, your next transition is, why don't you be a coach? I mean, you're learning from the best, go redeliver it. Because I'm a firm believer in, if you teach what you've learned, you learn it again and you get better at it.
Right.
So that began
there's too many people out there that are afraid to reteach what they've learned because they feel like they're stepping on the person that taught it to them's toes. You know what I mean? You feel like people feel like, well, I don't want to say what they said because they already said it. No, there's only so much things you can say.
I mean, tell me, man, like, what's a unique idea out there these days? Like, what's an original idea?
Yeah, right. There isn't.
Very
rare.
The successful and smart people out there are taking an idea that's a good idea and doing it better than the person who originally did it.
Yep. Right.
And those people who are scared to share what they learn and know don't deserve to be in this forum, right? If you're always sitting your hand out, and I asked this of Diane Griffin one time, who is a massive real estate agent. She's amazing, brilliant woman. Can't thank her enough for her tutelage. But I said, you're always willing to share your secrets of what you do with people. Why is that? And she said, Anthony, 99% of them aren't going to do it anyway.
Right.
And she goes, the 1% that are, I want to be in business with.
Right. I heard we had Shelby Elias on one time, and he told me, he's like, I'll give everybody my secrets. He said, because A, most of them won't use them, and B, the ones that will, I'm already 2 steps ahead. So they can use my secrets today, but I'm not, I'm already above that level. By the time they, get it implemented and start using it, I'm already above that level. I've already leveled up myself. So it didn't matter to him. He'll tell you every process, every single step by step, what he does in his business. And he's like, I'll share it with my competition. He's like, I don't care. He's like, because I already know I'm 2 more steps in front.
Yeah. I mean, look at the positive influences in our industry right now. I mean, you mentioned Jason Frazier earlier. The dude doesn't keep secrets, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? He doesn't even have to work for the same institution as you, and he will help you.
Right.
You look at Michael Fisher. The guy spends his time all the time helping LOs be better at their craft. You know, he's not trying to get you to come work for his company. I'm sure some of that happens because you just want to work with Mike because he's a great guy.
Right.
I mean, look at the stuff you're doing. It's amazing the outlets that are out there and the people that want to help people learn. I think it's because we all have something in common, is that we hate seeing people fail.
Right.
Like, we're advocates for the underdog. And I'm also a firm believer that the best real estate agents and lenders and entrepreneurs out there, like, we haven't even seen them yet. Right? They're somewhere waiting and coming up.
That's a good point, because, you know, what happened in 2008 was a lot of companies you see today were created, you know, like Airbnb and you know, all these companies that people thought had no chance were created in the worst of times. And guess what? We just went through, or still going through, the worst of times for, you know, this generation. So imagine the creative people that are sitting at home and they've got ideas and they're putting them to work because they got no other thing to do, you know, during COVID. So, you know, we're about to see another big explosion of creativity and new ideas and companies, you know, coming about, I think.
Yeah. You know what the other thing is let's just focus on real estate, I guess, for right now, because that's kind of our topic. But real estate was kind of easy for a while. So when the market started coming back, you saw an overabundance of realtors coming into the industry, and a lot of them just killing it, right? You sell your house. I mean, the values came back up. Some people were still stuck in their home. You know, your job was to go. Literally, I saw realtors go from, and I remember the evolution when we came out of the funk. It went to, all of a sudden, these dudes are doing single property websites. They're marketing. I mean, they're fighting over listings, so they're fighting for how much they had to do to get the listing, right? Like,
right.
They're telling clients, I'm going to put your house on 42 million websites. It's going to be everywhere, and then slide in a little Zillow, which that's a whole nother topic. That was people let their defense down, and people were working hard at that point. And then the further it got to where we're at now, it got easy. So they went from, like, I saw dudes, this blew my mind, is there's guys I've even interviewed on Real Estate Ride Along and people I'm huge fans of that were doing music videos of listings. I mean, amazing shit.
Yeah.
But you don't see that so much anymore because, well, you're starting to see it come back again. But when it got easy, people got away from doing the extra curriculars to get to get those listings, right?
Yeah, I remember there was one lady, I think she was a loan officer, and she did a song, I think her name was like Trinette Lindsay out of Chicago or something. Did you remember that?
That was like when you and I first met. That was like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, she had that like rap video she put out, and it just blew up, and her business blew up after that. And then what's the other guy named Tompkins? I can't remember. There's another guy that did like all kinds of videos like that, and it's just like, you know, killer.
But did you notice it level off though? Like, it kind of went to, like, everybody was just busy doing the business.
Yep.
And this is a huge topic for me to talk about, and I get very excited about, is messing up and letting down your guard when it comes to your must-dos, and that is, you got to keep prospecting no matter what. Even if you get all this business, because if you stop, eventually your pipeline's going to go like this, and that's when you start seeing the waves, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, the industry now is getting back to where it's getting competitive again. And when I talk about the numbers I mentioned earlier, do you know that there's not even enough listings? Like, there's double the amount of real estate agents in the United States than there is listings on the market.
Right.
So people got in when it was easy. There's some superstars out there. But what I've noticed is that I don't think they're with the right people for the right reasons because they don't know what their why is. Like, why did you get in this business? What made you do it? And I posed a question the other day. You put me onto this Facebook group, New LOs,
Yeah.
and I asked the question, why did you get in this business? And man, there was like maybe 12 out of 30 something responses that I even hearted. And if your answer is money, you're in this thing for the wrong thing, man.
Right.
Like people could smell it. And freedom, a lack of work schedule. That's the other one that defeats my soul. Is like, what do you mean? You think just because you're self-employed that
You're gonna
you
work
don't?
less.
Shit, I work
Wrong.
more. Yeah,
Wrong. And it's the same thing with, like you said, when it comes to money, that instantly gives you the smoky smelling, used car salesman vibe when you're like, I'm in it for the money.
yeah.
And your clients are going to be like, no, this guy's in it, for the wrong reasons. They're going to smell it. Like you said, they're going to know.
Well, where are you gonna have the endurance at, man? Because times get tough, and money's for sure. Money's a motivator, but if you can't get out of bed every morning and be excited about what you're doing, find something else to do. And eventually, the money is not going to outweigh your inability to tolerate the obstacles and the hurdles of this business.
Yeah, we had David Licken. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he's been in the business a long, long time as a coach and a consultant. And he had a guy who was, middle age, but he was ready to retire. He's like, I'm done. And he was his consultant coach. And he's like, what do you mean you're done? And he told us this story on the podcast. And he's like, I just don't want to do it anymore. And he's like, I'll tell you what, you go to 3 closings this month, and when you get there, I want you to ask the person that's buying the house, why are you buying the house? Like, tell me your story. And then you come back to me after that, and if you want to still quit, I'll let you quit. He's like, because you lost your why.
Yep.
You lost your why. So the guy said he went to his very first closing and he asked the question. He's like, my coach is making me ask this. And the guy he sat across from was a wounded veteran with no legs in a wheelchair. And he said, what does this buying this house mean to you? And he said, it saved my life. He said, when I got back, I wasn't in the right state of mind. I was getting into things, to ease the pain that I shouldn't have. And my wife realized that. And so she worked her tail off to get us in a position to buy a home and give me something more, in my life. And he said, so to be honest, this house saved my life, saved our marriage, it saved everything. And he's like, the guy came back to him, was like, that's it. Now I remember why I got into this. I did it for that, to get that guy right there. And he's like, I'm in it to win it now. I'm not getting out. So
Yeah,
like you said, it's about your why. And if you start with your why being the wrong, then it's not going to work.
it's true. That's one of the things. That's probably the key issue for people failing in this industry is they don't even have a goal set up. So how can you set a goal up if you don't have your why, right? And money's not your why. Your why, money may be a vehicle to get to your why, but money's not your why, right? And if you don't have a goal, how do you know how much you need to do, and then what you need to do, and then what you need to do that gets you to what you need to do?
Right. Yeah. And then, like you said, money can be the vehicle. Your why may be to provide a better life for your kids than you had growing up. Your why might be, to be able to give your wife everything she wants because you're madly in love, but money helps you get to, those goals. But your goal can't be just, hey, I got in this business because my friend said he makes a bunch of money. That's not gonna work. So I'll tell you what, I want to give you a little bit of time here. What do you want to break down for the audience that you can help them, coach them into something that can make an impact on their business today?
Well, I guess number one is let's start on where you're at, like, and then who are you and what you can offer, like what's your offer, you know? So the opportunity right now we have, if you've been in the business since the beginning of the year, is that we've gone through a quarter. And we, like at Hero Nation, talk about paying attention to your quarters, right? You got a yearly goal, but you got to pay attention to the quarters. You got to pay attention to those 90-day goals, because you need to reflect and see where you failed, where you succeeded, whatnot. So when I sit down and talk to people, it's like, let's paint the picture. Like, what are you the most grateful for right now? Like, what is the top 3 things you're the most grateful for? Because a lot of people don't have the ability to immediately recognize success or happiness. And that's why when you get into a meeting or you talk to somebody, say, like, how was your day? And they're always like, a majority of the time, majority of people are like, oh, well, what did you win at today? Like, what was good? Oh, I don't know. Because what's sticking out is the pain, because the pain screams the loudest, right? And they might have had a bad interaction with somebody or something bad happened, but go back and look at all the good stuff that's happened. So that's why it's important to look at, like, what are you're grateful for, because gratitude's huge, right? Then go through the questions of what's worked well this year so far, right? So what is it that you're doing in your business that is working really well? We have to recognize that, right? And then equally as important is what has not worked well, right? Everybody should have 2 to 4 must-dos that they do either every day or every week that are included in their, that is an absolute must-do. And that should be focused somewhere in the means of prospecting. So Gary Keller and Dave Jenks, they created this model when they wrote The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, and it's a triangle. It's 3 things you need to focus on all the time. And 80% of your time should be focused on leads, like working, getting prospects, getting new people. Then you spend about 10% managing the existing pipeline you have, so that's your loans. And then the real estate agents call it listings. We call it loans. And then leverage. Leverage is something people don't know how to take advantage of. So, they talk about that. So what we notice is that a lot of people get mixed up in the shiny object stuff, or in the preparation, or looking good, right? They got to have everything dialed in before they do anything, or the paperwork. Paperwork doesn't make you money. So you've got to be prospecting. Who can you go out there and help? Like, who are the people you can prospect to? Who's your database? How are you managing that database? So what hasn't worked so well? The reason that is important is because if you look at what is working well, and you came to me and said, hey, I want to double what my production is this year, right? I want to double it. Okay, let's double the amount of things that are working. Double the time you're spending on things that are working. Well, I don't have time. Okay, what's in your schedule that doesn't work? Yeah, going to all these association meetings, or going to lunch with lenders every day, or whatever. Cut that out of your schedule. Like, I self-edited, man. You see that?
I was gonna say, I caught that.
Yeah. So we cut that out and focus on what was good. So that's huge. And then we go into, like, if you had a second chance to redo this first 90 days of 2021 again, what would you do differently?
Right.
And when you start asking questions like that, you got to give them a second, man, because it could take a minute, right? Like, you really have to think about, what would I have done differently? And if you're teaching this content, you need to be doing it as well, right? Because we all could use help with it. I mean, you can do this with your kids, your wife. This is for anybody. Time's not free, man, and you can't get it back. So we might as well make, 90-day increments. Well, how can we make the next 90 better? So could the rest of this year, the thing I ask your question is, could the rest of this year be even better? Like the next upcoming, like starting today, could it all be better? And you have to see what that answer is, because if you have someone that says no, man, you got something on your hands. Yes, you got to have people that believe in themselves, at least some spark there to light the fire.
Right.
And if they're like no, it's like,
No,
Well,
I hit my ceiling.
yeah. Yeah, and then ask yourself questions like if you could double your income you made, but not the time you spent. If you could double the amount of money you made, but not double the time you spent doing it, would that work for you?
Right.
I mean, simple answer. Hell yeah. If I could make double and keep working the same amount of time I am, or even maybe a little bit less, would I do it? Yes, I would.
Right.
Now, what about that is important to you? Does it mean that you have more time freed up for your family? Are you a mountain biker? Is it more time up to go mountain biking? Does it free up more time for you to go dog fishing? Dog
Yeah.
fishing. That's
Yeah. Not mountain biking. I tried that the other day, and man, I'm too old for that.
yeah. It's a young man's sport.
I thought riding a bike up and down hills was going to be easy, but it isn't. It's not as easy as it used to be.
Yeah, yeah.
I found myself
So,
pushing my bike up the hill more than riding it.
oh yeah, dude, you got to start downhill. Just make sure it's all downhill all the way.
Right.
So and then you got to dig into like, is that important to you? Like, why would that be important to you to free up time? You start looking at whether it's for personal reasons or you're like, let me go start another business, or maybe I can do this. But most importantly, it's important to schedule the time with your personal life as well. A lot of people get in the state they think they need to work a ton to make a ton of money. That's crap. You need to have systems. You need to be efficient. You got to have a goal. You got to know what you're doing. And, and when people ask, how do I do something? The question should be who knows, who's done it. Everybody should have a mentor, and every mentor should have a mentee, right? You can learn a lot from people that you work with and coach, as well as as much they're learning from you. I learn so much every day, and then having the conversations, it's the psychology of it. So when you're going out, and so especially the new people in the industry, they have to know what they need to do, when to do it, and how to block out the distractions.
Right. And as new people, it doesn't necessarily have to be a coach. Maybe you can't afford a coach, but you can afford a coaching group. You can afford a mentor and somebody that you work with, somebody that's a leader at your company that you can, tuck under their wing and learn from. I mean, there's mentors out there if you just look and ask. You just have to ask.
Yeah, and like you said, the group coaching thing. I mean, there's some phenomenal group coaching options out there. I mean, I'm going to plug ourselves and say I think we have the best. We have field coaching for Hero Nation. It's where you can come and join a group. It's an hour-long group class every week, and then a half-hour smaller session with a personalized coach. It's like it's less than $100 a month. And
Right.
if someone was to tell me I can't afford that $100 a month, I'd ask them what they could cut out of their life to afford that $100 a month.
Starbucks.
And then, what could you have more of that $100 will make you?
Right.
Is it worth that? I mean, you see some of our coaching clients, man. I had a great story from last year that I took on a one-on-one coaching client, and that's a little more of an investment. And it was a question for like, I don't know if I can do this. I was like, tell you what, let's go a month and let's see what the results are. But you have to give in to me. You have to trust. You have to do the work. It's like 7 months later, and this was January, she closed more and made more in January than she did all of 2020.
Oh, wow. You got to
And
pay
it didn't wait that long. Like, she was closing up into that, but she built this bit. Now she's amazing. She's killing it.
Right. You got to buy the seeds, but you may be putting some money out for coaching, but it's like buying a pack of seeds and planting them in your garden. Once you buy it, you're planting the seed, and then you have to tend to it, actually tune into the coaching and take care of it. And then, eventually you get to get the fruit, and you get to harvest what you learned.
I mean, I'm going to make use you as an example. Like, when I first met you, I was confused. It was like, who is this guy? What the hell is he doing? Right. I got to tell you how proud I am of you. You've come a long way, man. You've built this amazing platform, and I see it's grown even bigger. But let me ask you this: where would you have been at if you didn't have the mentors that you have right now? Do you think you would be where you're at right now?
Oh, absolutely not. If I didn't have the people like you and the Jason Frazier's and the Christine Beckwiths that were like, I don't understand this guy, but I think he has value and he has a good heart and he's he can do good things, then I wouldn't be anywhere where I'm at.
Yeah.
So that's the key is, and I was confused as you were when I started.
I gotta tell you, man, it's like there's one thing I will say about Mitch Peak is that he's a consistent mofo. He does. He's every day diving in and digging every day. He didn't let a tornado stop him, and he's doing great things.
I got to be consistent and persistent. Those are my two key attributes.
Yeah.
And
so
if you ask half the people on my podcast, they'll be like, "Well, he was persistent in his quest to get me on here." Well, that's really with my events too.
Yeah.
It's about persistence and not being afraid to to ask the big questions or to ask people things.
Yeah.
You have to be able to put yourself out there. And I tell people this: it's just like as an LO when you're starting out and you see these big, great real estate agents in your area, and you're like, well, I'm not going to call them. Probably everybody's calling them, but in actuality, probably nobody's calling them because they think the same thing. People are scared to. Very few people are willing to reach out to that top real estate agent and be like, hey, I'd like to partner with you. How can I help you? Because they're worried they're going to be like, listen, man, I got a whole list of people that are already calling me every day. But,
that's the thing that always gets me too is, does no hurt? No doesn't hurt. I mean, right. People tell you no, it doesn't hurt. It's more fun to say yes and to hear yeses, but no's don't hurt. So go out and get 1,000 no's today. What's going to happen is you're going to get a bunch of yeses too.
Yeah.
And when you think about that, when you're like that right there, and that was, Diane Griffin I mentioned earlier. I had a young loan officer he's a full-blown broker owner now of his own broker shop. He took a 6-pack of beer, walked in her office to meet with her. The guy has no fear at all, and that's why he's at where he's at now. Is that he believes in himself enough to do it. And so you ask yourself the question: yeah, there might be 20 other LOs going to talk to this real estate agent. Are they as capable or not or better at solving the problems and helping them with their business than you would be?
Right.
That's what you got to ask yourself. And if you don't feel like you are, then get prepared and then go do it.
Two people have to understand, hate to use the word alpha, but, like alpha recognizes alpha personality. You know what I mean? Like a top real estate broker or agent, like you said, he comes in, he's got a 6-pack of beer and he's like, hey, I want to talk to you. I think I can help you. And then she's like, okay, I like this guy. He's got the tenacity to just walk in my office with a 6-pack and be like, hey, I want to do business with you. So, real recognizes real, if you will. And, instead of you show up timidly with your business card and say, hey, can we have coffee next week? Versus coming in with a 6-pack and being like, hey, let's do work.
Dude, I almost hate business cards. I haven't carried a business card in years, and it's just something else to put in your pocket. But you're right. Like, don't do the same shit. Be you. Be authentic. Do something that is you.
Right.
It was the whole premises on Real Estate Ride Along when I started. It was like to do something different. I wanted my phone to ring for once for appointments. And what better way to spend 30 or 45 minutes getting to know somebody than ride around in a car with them with cameras on?
Yeah. I love
that's the stuff we need to be doing more of anyway is, go and get to know people. Don't instantly try to sell them. Get to know them. See if you click. People want to work with people they like, love, and trust. People want to work with people they would sit down and have a beer with, or a glass of water, or a glass of tea, break bread with. Like that is what they want.
Right.
They want to, picking up the phone and calling someone. Do you want to pick up the phone and call someone that you can't stand?
No, no matter what it's going to do for your business, it isn't going to help you mentally push through to make that work. So yeah, you gotta know the people, like you said, you gotta know them, you gotta trust them to make it work.
Yeah. I mean, here's your factors of what you can offer to build a relationship. You offer your time. Um, Time is the hottest commodity, right? Time, attention. Next is your energy. What kind of energy do you bring to the relationship? Right? If it's a foul, funky energy, and you don't seem confident, and you're not like if people are avoiding you, I mean that's a bad energy.
Right.
Money, you can offer money. You can say, hey, I can contribute this much to this, that, and the other.
Oh, are you there?
All right.
Sorry, I lost you there for a
That's all
second.
right. So we'll go back to this as connections. Connections is another thing that you can offer to build a relationship. Should always be a connector. Like I see people ask questions on the internet and on Facebook or groups, and sometimes I want to go, why don't you Google it and find it? But instead, I'll go and find it to connect them with that person if I don't know that type of person personally.
Right. I
I
think a
go out
lot
of
of
my way to do that. You
Yeah, I think
know.
a lot of people do that for the fact of connection. You know, like Google can tell me the answer, but what does Google do for me after that? You know, if you can tell me the answer, then I can ask you a follow up question, or I can DM you, or I can friend you. That's I think why people do that. I see that all the time in other groups. Don't have to do with business, just like anything, fishing groups, or they're like, what's the best weather for catching pike, stuff like that. It's
Yeah.
like, well, you could have Googled that, but they want to have that connection with someone local that may have the best spot, or, the, the best place, or a boat that can take them out with them, or, stuff like that. So, yeah, I see that a lot. People just want, more of a connection to the answer than just the answer.
Yeah. Definitely. And then last but not least, and there's probably a million more, I would say, is your expertise. Like your expertise. Like what are you an expert in? And we all like to have fun in this business. We all like to, stick our chest out and go to the functions and act like, we are what we are. You got to be an expert. If you're going to be an LO, you have to be an expert at being an LO.
Right.
Don't short step that and say, I mean, I've heard people tell me, I don't even know how to structure a loan. I'm like, I've taken on some people that didn't know how to structure a loan, and we've taught them how to structure loans, do loans, put the team around and support them, and now they're crushing it. They're better at lead generating, and that's good. But who are you to be able to go out and represent something that you know nothing about? Same with real estate. Like if you're a real man, you wouldn't understand how many realtors come to my staff to structure purchase agreements. And it's not our spot to do that. In fact, it's kind of I coach people to stay away from that if they can, because what if they tell you the wrong thing, right? I mean, that's why people have brokers. That's why they have mentors.
Right.
So be an expert. Always sharpen your sword. But let's face it, customer service and solving problems is our daily, but we have to have that certification of expertise behind us. Even though it's not a real thing, we have to have it. You got to be able to. I mean, even I don't really originate loans anymore. I still know my business. I still know the craft of it.
Right. You got to stay sharp.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, I appreciate you joining me on the first episode of Coaching Corner, yeah, Mort Flick's original series. And we look forward to having the real estate ride along on Mort Flicks here in the near future as well. So, folks that are watching this, make sure you peek around Mort Flicks, because there's going to be more great content, like Anthony cruising around town with a real estate agent sitting next to him and, chatting about who knows what.
Who knows what? That's the fact. Do a lot of learning.
There's a lot of business, but there's also a lot of fun involved, and that's what I enjoyed about the show when I found it.
Poop walls, hot peppers, fleas, dead bodies, dead cat bodies,
Oh, jeez.
mummified cats. That was it. I think somebody found like 300 and something mummified cats in a house they were going to list.
I found one in my barn when I cleaned it out when I moved here. Not 300, just one.
Wrapped in paper towel with their names on them.
Ooh, yeah, I think I'm walking away from that. All right, man. Well, you got anything? Any last thing you want to say to the audience here before we let you go?
Hey, we're always here to help you. You know, you've got friends in the industry here. You know, we're here to decrease the number of failure and help build some heroes. If you're interested, check out theheronation.com. And like I said, we got many different coaching platforms for you. So, you know, check it out. Hit me up with messages. You can hit Mitch up. He knows how to connect you with me, and stay locked in with Mitch's building your empire. This Mortflix things looks pretty cool too. I'm learning this from him. Yeah, look at Mitch. He's got that Hero Nation bracelet on. Yep.
You got to be your own hero, my friend.
Yep. So that's where we're at, and I'm excited. I'm excited. It's a tough market, but it's turning me on, man. It's
exciting times, that's for sure.
Yeah.
If people do it right, they can do it well.
Yep.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you.
Got you, man. Anytime. Remember, go out and be your own hero because no one else is going to do it for you.